Welcome to Ratatouille. It's a rat that cooks patootie. Before I start, I must complain first about you. When I asked you on Twitter to make a meme out of this picture for the Iron Giant video, I expected more, you All I got was low effort POV bull. Granted, I can't do any better, but I expected more. Like, only 2 people actually tried to do something decent. Also, on my Patreon for the same movie, how did this not win the meme poll? It's in my pants, man. But maybe even worse, this won the Amazing Spider-Man poll instead of any of these. Cause of course you choose a spin-off meme, you predictable basic Diversify your meme taste. Do better, or else I'm not gonna make a video about cats, and I know you want me to. Just kidding, by the way. I probably would have chosen the same one. This is just an excuse for me to plug my Patreon, where you can give me your money and appear in the credits of my videos, and vote for these shitty memes provided to me by my twithards on Twitter, with polls that are actually not rigged, unlike most elections. Now, on to the movie. Starting off with one of my favorite countries, a doggone France. Specifically, Paris, France, where there's this 5-star restaurant called Gusteau's, named after an old fat chef who's really good at cooking. He made a cookbook that stated that anyone could cook, and then he killed himself when a really mean food critic gave him a bad review that lost his restaurant a star. Also in France is Remington the Rat, who read this book and is gifted with, how do I say this, very intuitive foodie skills. A brain that knows what food goes with what ingredients food is made of, what food smells good, what food smells like poison, which comes in very handy when his dad, the leader of their rat colony, appoints him poison checker for all their shitty food that they collect. Won't his nose burn out from all that smelling? Like, people get used to a smell after 3 sniffs or something like that, right? He is a rat though. I don't know much about rat anatomy. Ratatouille. Just saying, could be exhausting. Moving on, he hates eating trash and wants to cook and eat good food, so he keeps sneaking into this old woman's house to do so. Then one day he tries to cook a mushroom on the chimney of her house with his retarded brother, which gets them struck by lightning, and they survive that. Whatever. Then Remy decides that they need one more ingredient that would make this zap mushroom parfait, and that ingredient lies in the kitchen of the old lady. So they go inside. Bitch fell asleep watching TV. Emile is quaking in his boots while Remy's looking for the spices, and then he sees on TV that Chef Gusteau has died because of that bad review, and he keeps getting closer to the TV to listen and watch, which allowed the old lady to see him when she woke up. Why the did you have to get close, you retarded rodent? You were hearing fine. Doesn't matter. Old lady pulls out the whammy stick and starts shooting holes in her own house, trying to kill them. Not only is this ancient French whore using the most ineffective weapon to kill these rats, but that shotgun has 11 shots before getting empty. That shit doesn't exist. Could be wrong though. Maybe it's pack-a-punch. I don't know. Just Brain brother runs up to the colony, leading her there, and Just Brain old lady, who is a better shot than most movie villains, shoots down her ceiling, revealing the whole colony, which makes them all panic and evacuate while she gets the mustard gas. And idiot Remy's like, oh no, Gusteau's book, and he goes back for the book. Leave it, you moron. You can get another one. You can't get another life. Whatever. The colony makes it to rafts that they built to escape in the storm drain sewer tunnel thing, but Remy gets separated from them, tries to make it back to them using the book as a raft, but he can't make it because he's a moron. Then he gets lost inside the tunnels, almost drowns, and sometime later, shit calms down. He's stuck there, waits for something, gets bored, starts reading the book. No way in fuck is that shit readable, bro. After being used as a life raft, that thing is either super easily rippable, paper mache, or stuck together and impossible to open without ruining it. Anyway, homie starts hallucinating Gusteau, probably because of the shrooms he ate, and Gusteau tells him to stop being a pussy and go up and look around for shit. And he does that, goes and leaves behind the book he fought so hard to keep, so what the f was the point of that? Finds a party with some food, about to eat and take a bite, but Gusteau comes up like a thief takes, a cook makes. Keep looking. So he continues on looking for food to cook or whatever. At least take a bite. It's a hallucination. You don't have to listen to it word for word. You need the energy, man. Don't be a dumb Anyway, he passes by typical French shit, a mousetrap, some more typical French shit, and to the rooftop of some building, and finds that he is in Paris, right next to Gusteau's restaurant. Oh, no. So Remington goes up to the kitchen skylight to observe this kitchen, excited AF, and you see this guy, he's the chef now after Gusteau's passing. He's a short ass with a Napoleon complex, and you see this guy, or this kid, has a mom, and this mom used to be friends with Gusteau, and she died and wrote Gusteau a letter in hopes that he could get her son Linguini, this guy, a job at his restaurant. This letter also contains a little extra information for later, but for now Linguini gets a job as a garbage boy, and Remy's there tripping balls on the skylight. He tells Gusteau that he's a useless plongeur that can't cook. Well, that's not stopping him. Look. What? What's he doing? He's ruining the stop! Someone has to stop him. You have to stop him. You have to
send this to the penis explosion chamber and have his penis exploded immediately.
Dude is losing his shit over Linguini accidentally knocking over the soup and ruining it further in an attempt to fix it. Except he wasn't looking, Gusteau was, but Gusteau is a figment of his imagination. So does that mean that he was looking but imagining this in a third-person point of view inside his brain? Or am I overthinking this way too much? Anyway, Rat drops down because he was freaking out over the soup too much, and he falls down into a sink with a new mission. Survival. Ends up running around, almost gets stepped on, almost gets burnt alive by this oven thing, then ends up escaping from some food he probably gave rat AIDS, almost gets squeezed to death, and before escaping smells the shitty soup and decides to fix it before he leaves in a flurry of food throwing and flipping around and shit. And first off, I don't care that Remy washed his hands with a drop of water midway through fixing the soup. Remy is still a rat that was just skinny dipping with the finest French turds literally a few hours ago. Coming anywhere near any of this food and serving it to any people will probably restart the f***ing plague. And second, how's he standing on a blisteringly hot pot full of boiling soup? Don't matter. Linguini finds him freestyling the soup and traps him. Napoleon finds Linguini with a ladle and goes, "You have been cooking, you motherfucker!" and keeps raging at him while the cook takes some soup out to a customer, which Napoleon doesn't notice in time to stop, so he goes back to rip Linguini's dick off off and staple it to his forehead and call him a limp dick unicorn. But then the customer that got the soup that happened to be a food critic asks for the chef, so Napoleon goes out and finds out that they thought the soup was very yummy in the tummy. So he can't fire Linguini now, especially when this edgy bitch stuck up for him. And Napoleon's like, perhaps I was a bit harsh on him. And makes the edgy bitch responsible for Linguini now. Continues yelling at fat Schnose dude till he sees Remy escape, gives him a concussion. Schnose traps him in a jar, and Napoleon asks him to go get rid of it far away from here because they don't want anybody to know there's a rat in the kitchen because that's a health code violation and they will get shut down and shit. The dude obliges and goes to throw Remy into a river, but he can't bring himself to do it because of his huge puppy dog eyes. Then goes crazy talking to himself because Napoleon wants him to repeat the soup, which he can't do, like, you're the one that was getting fancy with the spices. And he notices that Remy understands him. Freaks out a little bit, but then composes himself, and he comes to an agreement that he will let Remy live if Remy helps him cook. And surprisingly, the rat agrees. So he takes him to his crappy little one-room apartment to stay in. And next morning, Remy makes them breakfast, which he doesn't get to eat himself because they're late for work and Linguini's an inconsiderate prick. And they arrive at work ready for war, with Remy and Linguini sure trying to help him to cook properly. But obviously a system of biting and slapping is not the best of strategies. So they go and convene and brainstorm ideas in the fucking, I don't know, there's like a closet full of food. And he gives him some food because he knows he's a prick. And then they almost get caught by Napoleon, but he shoved Remy inside his hat real quick. And by pure accident, they find out that Remy can control Linguini by pulling on his hairs.
How did you do that? Whoa! That's strangely involuntary.
No, it is not. That isn't a thing, and it makes absolutely no sense. And don't think for a second that I'm playing along and pretending that it is gonna stop me from questioning the mechanics of this shit. Like, how is raising arms different from shrugging your shoulders? They're the same hair pulling motion. How do you splay or control individual fingers? By isolating groups of hairs or something? Pulling different hairs? How do you control the angles of elbows, wrists, or any other joints for that matter? Would have been more realistic if he taught him Morse code and they communicated through that, or another tapping on the scalp system. But I've lingered on this long enough. So anyway, as you might have seen, they went home and started practicing Remy controlling Linguini like a puppet while he's blindfolded till they got good at cooking. He repeats the soup the next day, and Colette, I found out her name. I will not find out this cat name though, because I am stupid and lady. Colette shows him that she's really edgy, cause nice. Then Napoleon tells this advertisement dude that he wants to sell out and whore out Gusteau's name with dignity, like that's a thing. That he reads Linguini's mom's letter and finds out she fucked Gusteau, and Linguini is the spawn of them, Gusteau's son. So he immediately goes,
Get my lawyer.
You didn't even dial anything, and I'm pretty sure you don't even have an assistant to take this order either, you fucking French lit. Anyway, doesn't matter. Here's the dealio. In the will, it states that if no heir to Gusteau shows up in 2 years' time, the restaurant, and I'm guessing lots of other shit, goes to Napoleon. And that deadline expires in less than a month. So the lawyer's like, keep him here and keep an eye on him while I go do some tests. Stop panicking, it's fine. The guy's panicking because he thinks Linguini knows something and he's here to play some mind games with him. But in reality, Linguini doesn't know shit, which is insane. Like, you'd think his mom would have left him a letter himself telling him that his dad is Gusteau, or let him read this letter, but whatever. Colette then very aggressively teaches Linguini and Remy cooking and kitchen etiquette, lots of really important rules, a bread tutorial, gossips about co-workers, and other tips and tricks. Obviously they're gonna fuck, you can't tell anybody. Then one day some customers ask for something new, so Napoleon decides to give Linguini one of Gusteau's old failed recipes to trip him up and make him look bad. And while him and Colette are making this failed dish that's obviously gonna suck, Remy goes, this shit ass. We're going off the books. I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that, I'm gonna need this. What else? Oh, this way. No. Yes. Move. That's the one. He improvising. He changed the recipe last second against all odds and all orders. And the customers love it. Everyone starts asking for the Linguini special. At the end of the day, the kitchen is celebrating Mr. Weenie, and Nippy sees a rat in Winnie's hat. And after Weenie takes Remy outside to give him a break and some food, Nippy tries to catch him off guard and take the hat away and prove that there's a rat in there and prove that he's not paranoid. But obviously comes out empty-handed. Then he takes him into his office, gets him drunk, and tries to get him into saying anything about the rat. But Weenie keeps his lips sealed tighter than a nun's ass. Then Nippy the Dicky forces him to stay behind and clean up the kitchen overnight. Meanwhile, Remy was chillaxing, eating some good food when he hears a noise and stumbles upon his bro and goes to get him some good food instead of the shit he's munching from the food storage. Yeah, that's what it's called. Against the advice of his conscience, who in the form of Gusteau currently, he gets him a plate of food, look at it, count the contents of it. You got it? Okay. Now he gives him some of the food to imagine it and really think about the flavor and stuff, but motherfucker's too dense to appreciate the food. He's just a shitter eating food for the sake of eating food. Now notice how the plate is empty. When he gave him the food and he started imagining the flavors, it still had some shit on it, and it didn't seem like Remy ate any of it because he was talking throughout the whole bit. But an even bigger complaint is, why the smelly coochie shit did he even steal food from inside the kitchen? He got cheese and a sweet grapey thing, while he already had the exact same shit outside. Remy the retard over here. Whatever. His brother takes him to see his family / colony. His dad's all happy, he's home, celebrations and jazzy shit all about. But Remy's like, yeah, this was fun and everything, but I'm not staying. I got this really cool thing going on with a human. With a what? How dare you? Then his dad takes him to see dead rats in a shop where they sell dead rats. No, they don't sell dead rats, but they sell rat poison, rat traps and shit to show him how bad humans are. But he's like, screw you, the future is now, old man, I'll take my chances, and leaves. Night turns into day. Guess Remy spent the night out in the streets or some shit, and he turns up to the restaurant and finds Linguini sleeping on the job. Then he hears Colette roll up on her bike, so he quickly takes control of Linguini with some sunglasses on and pretends that he's awake in front of Colette, although there is no reason for him to do so. Just leave him as is, dumbass. What's the worst that's gonna happen? They're gonna find out that his boss overworked him through the night and feel bad for him, send him home, cover for him. There's no risk here. Anyway, Colette low-key mad at him because she thinks that he's abandoning her after she gave him all this advice and he's becoming a big shot and shit. She slaps him awake. Dude's like, well, what the f is happening? Then he tries to explain to her that he has a little rat secret, but Remy wants to keep that secret, so he accidentally becomes the best wingman ever and forces Linguini to face attack Colette with his mouth, and she likes it. Et voila, it is love, mon ami. Meanwhile, asshole Ego, the food critic that took a star off Gusteau's and made him fucking kill himself or gave him a heart attack, whatever, that I'm convinced is the inspiration for Gru. Just think about it. Gru is him, just wider and with a longer nose. Anyway, he gets news that Gusteau's is popular again. He's like, Bideva, fils de pute, how can this be? I thought I reviewed them into the ground. How are food critics a thing? Like, actually, who the f cares? Some retard has an opinion about food. Whoop de fucking do. People have different tastes. This means nothing. How are they making money? I feel like the only reason they are ever relevant is because of the same people that worship celebrities. Ain't it funny how celebrity worship sounds like celibate dipshit? I'm making too many connections here. My train of thought is zigzagging so hard right now. It's about to take a detour through the forest of fucked up thoughts. And trust me, you don't want me to go there. Let's get back on track. Lawyer confirms that Linguini is Gusteau's son and tells Nippy to fire him in 3 days when the deadline's over so he can keep an eye on him. But then Remy finds Gusteau's whale folder while looking for the key to the now locked food storage to feed his greedy brother and his friends.
Mind if I,
Not at all.
Schizophrenic homie for real asks his own hallucination for permission to snoop around. What the hell's wrong with this guy? So he finds out about Linguini's lineage and Napoleon catches him, so he runs away with the papers and we get a funny chase where rats fly and Nippy gets really wet and ends up empty-handed in every single way. Cause Remy gets the letter to Linguini and he gets the restaurant now. They burn all the sellout advertisement shit and turn stuff around for themselves. He gets a new apartment, life is good. Bro gets more rats to feed, life sucks. Linguini and Colette become a thing, life good. Then one day while Linguini's doing a photo shoot in his restaurant because business is booming, when Remy get discovered underneath the hat because of the flash and the light and shit, similar to how Napoleon saw him with the hat. I don't know, doesn't matter. Remy is kind of mad at Linguini because he's getting too cocky and dickish. Then Anton Igort walks in announcing that he'll eat here tomorrow and judge his food like you have been playing with no opponent that is against the rules. He has a British accent in this movie. I don't know why I'm doing a French one. So Linguini calls him anorexic and the dude leaves. Then Linguini is being an ass and gets mad at Remy, fights with him a little bit, kicks him out of his hat, which Napoleon sees because he was spying on them from the rooftops. Remy gets mad at Linguini for treating him like shit, so he decides to feed the whole colony tonight, invites them into the food storage but gets interrupted by Linguini, who has realized his mistake and how bad he was being to Remy and that he needs him, only for fat ass Emile to interrupt him because he turned himself into a grape minigun, a grenade launcher if you will. He finds a whole rat infestation and feels betrayed by Remy and kicks him out for good this time, which makes Remy depresso espresso and Linguini stressy as fuck for tomorrow's big day with Ego. Then Remy's bro, who is so thick in the head not just body, walks into a trap which Remy has to save him from. In fact, the trap was meant for Remy because it was set there by Napoleon, who takes him into the trunk of his car and tells him that he's gonna make a new restaurant, he's gonna cook for everything for him, make him super rich, like Jesse Pinkman in the final seasons of Breaking Bad. Traps him in there and goes inside the restaurant to order the same thing that Ego's gonna order, and apparently Ego wants to eat some fresh perspective. Fucking snobby dickhead speaking in cryptic moon runes. Just say that you want their best shit. It's as easy as that, you bitch. He does do that eventually, but not before. A little bit more snobbery. And in the kitchen, Linguini is absolutely losing his mind. And then out of nowhere, Remy shows up because his family decided to help him out and break him free from the trunk by dropping gargoyles on it, and they're super lucky that these things weigh just enough to dent the trunk open without crushing / killing Remy. Anyway, the whole staff wants to kill Remy, but Linguini stands between them and protects Remy, then tells him the truth that he was the little cook controlling him from his head with a little speech, which makes literally everyone leave, even Colette. She technically fell in love with a rat. I mean, not really, but you get it, right? Moving on, she rides off without a helmet through the streets of Paris, which is illegal and unsafe, you stupid woman, but then gets inspired to go back because books say anyone can cook, and when she comes back, she finds a bunch of rats cooking because Remy's dad came over, did the whole classic, I was wrong about you, son, I should have listened to you, how can I help shtick. They tied up the health inspector that Napoleon called on them, cleaned all the rats up in a way that is, what's the word here? Disputable, I guess. I don't know if this would actually work well for either party, rat or human, but whatever. Remy gets the rats cooking, Linguini gets the waiting tables on rollerblades, and Remy decides to serve Ego Ratatouille, a peasant dish that is so f***ing small I cannot believe it, and I bet it cost like 200 euros or some crazy ass shit like that. Doesn't matter. Ego gets served the rat shit, takes a bite and immediately nuts himself in wonderment of the deliciousness so hard it reminds him of his old peasant days when he was a child. Napoleon also begrudgingly loves the food, busts into the kitchen, outraged, demanding to know who the f cooked this shit, then gets arrested by rats as well, and Ego wants to send his regards to the chef personally and thank him, but Linguini's like, I'm not your chef today, and cause Colette has more balls than him, she tells him that if he wants to meet the chef, he has to wait till all the other customers leave. So the madman waits till everybody leaves and they show him Remy, and at first he's like, is this some kind of joke? But they keep explaining and proving that this is true. He believes them, thanks them for the meal, then goes back and writes a bitchin' good review about it, only to have his credibility destroyed when they eventually release Napoleon and the health inspector, which they had to for obvious reasons. Then the restaurant gets shut down also obviously, but Remy says Ego is doing very well as a small business investor in his and Linguini's new very own joint venture restaurant thing, where he's still cooking really good food for rats and humans. So do the humans know that there's a rat chef inside there? I mean, the name of the place is Ratatouille with a rat sign on it. So do they, you know what, fuck it, whatever. This movie gets 1 black plague out of 2 pink plagues.